Peter, when it comes to the first question from a prospective client, they sometimes ask about, can Franke Highland protect all of my business? And yet I guess the real value comes, what value do we add if we can protect your business? Where's Franke Highland fit in all of that?
Well, Mark, we like to start by understanding a client's business, to understand where they're trying to take their business and where the value creation points are. And that will vary from business to business. Some clients will be looking for an exit strategy, which is selling to a larger entity. Others are actually looking to actively trade or to improve their business. And the complexities of those businesses lead to quite different outcomes as to what IP should be protected and where. So our starting point is understanding a client's business and how they're going to generate revenue or value out of a particular invention or a product or a brand, and then determining a strategy that will support that objective.
The real value comes from somewhere other than the invention, yet that's your entry point. A lot of clients bring you a great idea and say, let's patent this. Where does that conversation go? How do you move them to the commercialisation of that idea?
Well, a great idea on its own is not really a value point. What a client needs to have is a business. And so we seek to understand a client's business, where they're generating revenue, what their exit strategy is, the whole theory of their business as to where they're making money and how this development will help them generate revenue and value. And that leads to an understanding of the key areas that are in need of protection. And so once we've identified that, we can then try and select the appropriate intellectual property forms to cover those areas, because that's really where the value is. It ensures that the IP is closely linked to the client's practical and commercial and business intentions, rather than a consequence of a sort of a technical analysis, because in many cases that can lead to a quite different conclusion. So it's very important that the business is driving the IP strategy, not the IP driving business decisions.
Peter, there's lots of IP attorney firms and that will file a patent for you, and it's quite a complex process. Beyond that, we've talked about commercialisation. What else does Franke Highland bring to that process?
Well, the starting point is always the client's business. So a traditional patent attorney, that's not their starting point. So a traditional patent attorney's approach to drafting is that you understand what we call a prior art, what's been done before. You understand what the client thinks they've invented, and you create the widest form of protection you can that's consistent with what's been done before. Now the problem with that is that you're potentially chasing rainbows that you're never going to actually reach, and that it can ignore where the client is actually concerned about competitors treading. So to take an example, in a lot of medical device businesses, the money is generated primarily not from the main product, not from the large machine, but by the consumables or by a usage fee on the machine, or even on a sort of per patient fee basis ultimately. And if you don't direct the patent so as to capture those value points, then you've got a patent which would not prevent a competitor selling consumables, for example, which is a pretty major flaw. And if you don't ask the questions up front, the patent attorney may never know if they haven't inquired about the business. So you can end up with a different looking patent chasing maybe a different aspect of the technology depending on understanding somebody's business well.
So it's about the commercialisation of the patent to make it truly fit where the money flows. I think that's your saying. If you follow the money.
Indeed, it's a patent is not. It's easy from the perspective of a patent attorney to see the patent as either some sort of an interesting technical exercise or as a legal tool, but fundamentally it's a market tool. It's about creating monopoly, and you want to create the right monopoly in order to protect your client's value.